Hi, good morning. Today we are going to discuss about SAP Workflow Administration. My name is Argadikar and I am an SAP Workflow expert. I have been working with SAP for 14 years and out of which 12 years in SAP Workflow. So just to give an overview, what is SAP Workflow? SAP Workflow is a tool available inside SAP ECC6 and SAP S4 HANA environment, which is used to automate business process and takes care of all approval process of transactional data and master data. So just to give an overview, what it really does is, suppose in your business process, someone wants to create a purchase order to pay a vendor. So in order to create a purchase order and let the vendor know that they will be paid or you are going to buy these goods, you need to tell the cost center owner who is going to bear that cost. So how will you tell them? You're not going to tell them by a phone call or something because everything is auditable. So what SAP Workflow does is, whenever a PO gets created, it is sent for approval to those users. And if they approve, then only the vendor is issued the purchase order. And that's like a commitment to the vendor. If they give us the goods, that they will be paid through those cost center. Okay. So this is just one example. You can have a lot of other different examples. So for every business process, for every transaction code you can think in SAP, you can build a SAP workflow. Okay, so now in order to make this SAP workflow work, we need SAP Workflow Administration. So if you're running SAP, you will for sure have SAP Workflow. And for it to run smoothly, you will need a person to do the administration job. SAP Workflow Administrator is expected to know business process behind each workflow process and different ways to fix the workflow instance. So on day one, you may not know the business process, but as and when you are going to do the administration job, for sure, you will know all the SAP workflow process and the business process behind each SAP workflow. I'm just giving you an example. You can have a separate process for purchase order. You can have a separate business process for a sales order also. So all those things, as and when you do SAP Workflow Administration, you will be knowing. And another good thing is you get to know a lot of business process that will help you a lot in your future of the career, and eventually you will become a business process expert. Okay, now in SAP, if you're working in SAP, everything is transaction code. So the transaction code to be used for SAP Workflow Administration is SW3. SW3 for me is like a brain. Like if you think SAP is the SAP workflow is as a human being. SW3 is like the brain of the human being. Okay, SWI5 is used for workload analysis. So in layman's language, it's just to check inbox of user. SOST is a SAP gateway for outbound email going from SAP. Outbound email that is sent to Outlook, sent to Lotus Notes and other things. SWE is used to trigger an event to trigger a workflow. Most 95% of the workflows that are used to trigger workflow is through an event. Okay, an event can be a creation of purchase order, creation of sales order, creation of an invoice. Now the next one is SWI2_DIAG. So these are the workflows that are in error status. So when the workflow remains in error status, you cannot do anything. SWPR is a transaction code which is used to restart errant workflow. SWI2_ADM2 is a transaction code that is used to get the work items that are assigned to a deleted user's inbox. Okay, a deleted user, in another word, is terminated user. SWI2_ADM1 are work items that are assigned to no users. So it's a dialog work item, but it's not assigned to any users, and hence it's going nowhere. Okay, and SWIA is an administrative forward. Okay, so let's go into the details. Okay, now the first thing that we are going to do for workflow administration is uh, you have to download this administration folder to SAP favorites. So there is this file where I expect you all to store this file in a local folder and convert the file name, rename the file extension to .file instead of .txt. Then after that, you have to log into SAP, click on favorites, upload from PC, select the file and transaction code and save it in your favorites. Okay, now let's go get back to SAP. So this is SAP. I'm now logging in. Okay, so here I'm giving a password. Now you might double click into the SAP login and you can go inside directly if you have single sign-on. We don't have single sign-on, and I press enter. So the first thing that you are going to do is you click on favorites, okay, and click on the menu bar and you do upload from PC. Okay, now if you see the file that I have downloaded, I have already changed into .file. Okay, now now the first thing that you are going to do is you double click on this. Okay, and now if you see, this folder has already been uploaded with all the transaction codes, so you don't need to add, you don't need to remember all those things. You just download this folder in your favorites and you are, the first important thing is already done. So lots of times it may happen that these transaction code are not showing up. Okay, it happens because there is a setting in your SAP. So you go to extras, settings, and you have to check this. Currently it's checked, that's why it's showing. If I uncheck it, you see, and if I open it up, it will not show. Now it's up to you whether you want it checked or not. I like personally to get it checked so that I can see what transaction code I'm using. So this is important. Okay, so the next thing that we are going to do is, let's go to the next slide. Okay, so these are the different types of workflow administration. We are going to go in details, of each transaction code, and I'll show you it in the system. Workflows are not working at all. So this happens. This is a severity one issue. It's a priority one issue, and you need to resolve it within an hour. Okay, so 99% of the time, and probably 100% of the time, SW3 T code is the T code that has been messed up. Okay, from my personal experience, this transaction code is owned by basis, but for some reason they tend to play with it or they make a mistake. And so let's go inside this transaction code. So you go to SW3 transaction code, and the first thing you are going to see here, if you see the maintain runtime environment. So if something is not working, there should be a cross like this. Okay, so and somewhere they will make it will not work. So the most important thing that you have to do is let the basis team know, hey, you have to make this all green. Okay, now you might be asking what this actually does. So if you think SAP Workflow is a tool, and in order to automate everything, it requires a lot of jobs to run in background. Okay, so if you see all these jobs are running in background, it may happen that for some reason a basis team thinks, oh, this is taking a little bit of performance or something, let me schedule this, unschedule it. There it messes up with SAP workflow. So this needs to be green, and 100% of the times if you fix this, that means the brain is working of the human body, so it will work. Okay, so this is a very important transaction code that every SAP workflow administrator need to know. This is the first transaction code that a person need to know. Okay, unfortunately it's not maintained by us, it is maintained by the basis team. Okay, so let's go to the next slide. Okay, so the next the next administrative job that you always get is different types of workflow administration. Okay, so is to forward all the items from user A to user B. Okay, so this happens when suppose someone is sick, someone is in a remote location and cannot log into SAP. So so you might have to pick up some of the items from this user's inbox to another person's inbox. So let's go to SAP now. So we'll go to this transaction code, okay? And here always mention US, and here in the ID, so 90% of the time they give a username. A username, the first name and last name doesn't mean anything in SAP. Okay, so we have to find the user ID. So suppose I'll search with my ID car, okay? And if you notice there's two ID, one ID is terminated, another ID. I'll just double click if you see the first name, and okay, and the most another thing that you have to always do is you click on this work items to be completed. So these are the ones that are pending. Okay, by default this is selected completed work items, but you have to select work items to be completed. Okay, and if the date comes you have to blank it out. Okay, and now suppose I execute, and if you see there are so many items in my inbox. Okay,